The Buffalo Bills win this one. Big game for them, I think, to win as convincingly as they were able to do so. Buffalo, let's take a look at the top graded players. Edge rusher Greg Rousseau on the top of the list, as he has been, it feels like, a couple of times this season with an 82.2. Tight end Dawson Knox with a 79.9. Defensive tackle Dwayne Smoot with a 77.4. Running back James Cook with a 76.9. And then wide receiver Keon Coleman establishing himself in this offense with a 76.5. Quarterback Josh Allen in this game is 64.1. And then the other side of things, wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba was the top-graded player for the Seattle Seahawks at a 73.8. Safety Kobe Bryant with a 70.5. Guard Laken Tomlinson with a 69.4. Defensive tackle Byron Murphy II with a 65.7. And then guard Anthony Bradford rounds things out with a 65.3. Not exactly the highest grades there for the Seahawks. Quarterback Geno Smith in this one, 72.7. Stat that told the story. Dalton, what do you got?
I think we can agree on this. I'm actually going to just wrap my most disappointing into it as well. So the Seahawks had 17 carries for 32 yards in this game. In the first half, there's a couple errors obviously thrown in here with the center stepping on Geno Smith's foot, and they had the other play with the bad snap that lost some yards. But the first half, they had 10 carries for 1 yard, which is not something you will see very often. The most disappointing part of this, and I can go into more run stats, or you can go into more run stats, is DK Metcalf was announced out for this game, right? The injury, I did not think if DK Metcalf missed a game, their entire offense would just fall apart.
Oh, I did.
That's rough.
His ability to be a one-on-one winner, we have praised it over the last couple of weeks, and it has always felt, okay, this is good, but you don't really have anything else outside of DK being a one-on-one winner.
They certainly don't. When you talk about 1 yard rushing for a first half and 32 for the game, and Geno, I've talked a lot about Geno and the deep ball and the reliance on it. Mm-hmm. They didn't even attempt a deep pass in this game. Not a single a deep attempt. So now they're, much like the Giants game, they're working with trying to do things that their offense really isn't comfortable doing, and it just caved in on them in this game. And the last thing I want to go in with the run game is they ran 6 running plays inside Buffalo's 7-yard line, and they got -1 yard on those plays. Just can't. There are just times where, and they have 2 good backs. There's times where they just look incapable of running the ball, and without Metcalf, I did not think their entire offense would fall apart, because they have a reasonable amount of talent at several spots, right? I did not think their offense would just completely cave in without Metcalf, and that's just what happened here, is they were just dysfunctional.
Yeah, Charbonnet and Walker, both 1.3 yards per carry averages in this game. You mentioned not attempting anything deep down the field. Geno Smith, who has been a deep ball thrower this season, 4.7 average depth of target, not even close. The single game low in average depth of target for him, and I think DK Metcalf not being in the game was a big reason why. So the explosiveness from this offense was totally zapped when DK Metcalf was not out there for them, and so that's it. It's sort of a major problem of this team, is being a little bit too one-dimensional and reliant on one of those one players. They've got to be able to run the ball better. Now I understand Stone Forsythe was hurt, George Fant is hurt, Abe Lucas is hurt. The offensive line is beat up on this team, and so you want to make sure that you're giving that context to it too. But man, you've got to be able to run the ball a lot better. That's situational. Stats are great. The one that you mentioned there, being able to run the ball, especially when you were within the goal line within 10 yards, I think that's really important. But they were not able to do it. And on the flip side of things, my most impressive is what the Bills were able to do, run blocking. Both James Cook and Ray Davis in this game had 3.0 yards before contact averages. So we're not even talking about they were able to run the ball really well. Just overall, the offensive line was kicking ass in this game for Buffalo. And it just felt like in this game, Buffalo was cruising. And it felt like this was just their game from wire to wire. They took care of a really good opponent, I think, in Seattle. And obviously it is different with DK not in there, but they handled business. And I'm not going to lie, I was one of the people who felt like this was a declining year for the Buffalo Bills, and we'll see what happens with them in the second half of the season. But so far into it, they are, 6-2 on the year? I mean, this is business as usual for the Buffalo Bills, who have been one of the best teams in the NFL over the last 4 years, and they continue to play well, and they're figuring out ways to do it even better. The trade for Amari Cooper, Amari Cooper barely does anything in this game at all whatsoever. He had 2 targets, 1 catch for 3 yards, but it was Khalil Shakir with over 100 yards. Keon Coleman with 70 yards and a touchdown. It was Dawson Knox with 50 yards. Dalton Kincaid got a touchdown and 31 yards in this one. And then obviously what happened with the run game as well. So we talk about like, oh, like it's all on Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen or bust. It wasn't in this game. Everybody else is able to step up. So to me,
and they're better when it's not.
Totally a complimentary football game here for the Buffalo Bills. Really good team win for them.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Actually, you mentioned that 6-2 record. They have as many wins as the rest of their division combined.
Oh man,
I'd say they're in a pretty good spot.
We all wanted to get cute, didn't we? I did, certainly. Picking the Jets to win the division, picking Miami to be right there.
Yeah, no. I should have known. As a Jet fan, you're not supposed to have confidence in anything at all. So, I picked the Bills to make the playoffs, so I did do that.
Yeah.
So, still believe it's Josh Allen. Anyway, most impressive for me, Greg Rousseau's on a real burner right now. He is just teeing off on teams. I mean, and this was a good matchup for him with the offensive line injuries you mentioned, but 87.3 pass rush grade, terrific again in this game. 4 pressures, 2 batted passes at the line of scrimmage. I'll say it again, he's their best defensive player. Lately, he has just been dominant. If he keeps this up, this defense is going to stay afloat as well. And obviously, they don't have to be the best defense in the league because of the way their offense operates most of the time. But Rousseau, he's an absolute heater right now. I think his second week in a row I've picked him. I wouldn't be shocked if I picked him again next week. So just keep it up, Greg, because you're just killing it.
Most disappointing for me, I talked about Seahawks' run game being bad. Their run defense was also bad. 43.8 run defense grade in this game from their front 7 players. I mean, it's got to be fundamentally, it's got to be better than that for the Seahawks. And just fundamentally, they got whooped in this game. It was all Buffalo Bills, and the Seahawks just were not able to compete on both sides of the ball when it came to the simple things like defending the run and being able to run the football.